Drawing with Paolo. Today we're going to be drawing a few Pokemon. So, actually two Pokemon, not a few. Here's our first Pokemon, who's a circular chap, a gentleman or a robot, I should say, that has a spherical look to him. And this is the front of this character. And of course, he has a rounded body. So here's his right side. And I'm going to, of course, this gentleman or this character sort of looks like a light bulb, if you ask me. So this is sort of like that first light bulb shape. And I'd like you to notice that when I'm drawing my outlines, I'm really just giving really short strokes to readjust the direction that I want my lines to take. And then as I'm drawing along, it's afterwards, if ever I'm making a mistake as I'm drawing along, I can redirect my lines. So it's very simple just by drawing little short strokes rather than a continuous line. See, like this, little strokes. And then it's only afterwards that I add a continuous line when I'm correcting or drawing the outline of the character. Here's this shoulder, a left shoulder. I already drew the right one. And from here, we erase all the lines that we don't need. And here's the bottom portion of this character, which sort of looks like the end of that light bulb portion, a little curve in it, like this. There we go. And of course, with the shoulders there, it doesn't really look like a light bulb anymore, but here are the, I guess, his knees. I'm not sure how this character walks. There are little tubes that come down from here. I guess there's cylinders. They come down from these knees. I don't know how this guy is capable of moving, but they must be super flexible tubes. Here's his arms. Well, one of them anyway, the right one. Sort of curves here at the bottom, and we're going to add fingers to this later on. Let's add the left arm, which is bent here a little bit. Just like that. And we're going to add a few lines to fix what I erased. And here are his fingers. The fingers are just essentially long sausages or tubes. Right, they're cylinders that you can add a little bend into to give the illusion of fingers. Just like this. Very simply put. There we go, little fingers here, redrawn with a slight bend and overlapping to give the illusion of reality, their semblance of 3D. Okay, I'm going to recurve this line, make this curve a little bit better. It was a little bit too flat in my opinion. I'm going to fix it up. There we go, nice little curves here. Make those fingers nice and separated. And then of course these little triangles that represent his knuckles. Well, I suppose represent his knuckles. I went onto Pokémon.com to find these guys, and I chose two different Pokemon. An easy one, I think this one is easy to draw, and then a more difficult one, which we'll see in a few minutes. And as I said earlier, this is now the time to draw those continuous lines throughout the character. Oh, I'm running out of pencil. Here we go. Just move this graphite out of the way. Not pencil, but graphite. And this is what I love about these pencils. Just tap, tap, tap. Little next graphite comes out, and I'm ready to draw again. So it's really, really cool. I don't have to sharpen these pencils. And they're relatively inexpensive. You can get a pencil like this and then just buy the nibs or the lead that goes in them. And it's very cheap. And it's very quick. And that's what I like about it. I don't like stopping my drawing to have to sharpen stuff. It gets me out of the mood of drawing. So it's much better, in my opinion anyway, to draw with these pencils. But you can draw with any tool you like. It's not, the tool doesn't make you the artist, right? You're the artist and you can draw with anything you want. So we're going to color this arm a specific shade of gray, a dark gray. And we're going to leave those knuckles white. And then we're going to add a little bit of a layer of darker color to give that shape a roundness to it. Just like that. And we're going to erase a few lines so that we don't need. Alright. So then, once this is done, we're going to add a bit of shading to our character's body. But let's finish here, a little bit of shading between the fingers to complete the 3D look. Well, let's give some shading to the fingers while we're at it. There we go. Alright, we're going to add some shading now to this shoulder part, but we can't forget the details in there, so those little weld lines, and we're going to shade the whole thing a single shade of gray. And we have to add a gradient here. So notice how I'm going to add layers to this shoulder area. So just color in this line, like this, in a curve, and then add another layer, a darker layer, which is a little bit thinner, as I move towards the edge, right? So this little layer here will be a little bit thinner. Just like that. Move them on up. There we go. And then we're going to add, with the eraser, a little bit of a highlight. Check it out. Alright, so now retrace the outline of the body. Just like this. And probably need to start here from the top and drag this line down. Nice curve. And sometimes as I'm drawing these lines, I need to readjust, like this one. So I want to make this one a little bit wider. Give him more space to the face. There we go. Curve this line, the thickness here. Shows the thickness to his armor. Like that. And then I'm going to color the entirety of the left side here. Nice shade of gray. There we go. And then of course this guy is rounded, so we need to add that gradient effect here on the bottom side too. So below his shoulder, start coloring, and once again we're going to use that layering aspect. So color in a few shades here. We're going to pass here a few times. And as I do that, what's important to notice here is that I may be going rather quickly compared to what you can do at home, and that's fine because you are in total control of YouTube. So just make sure that you use the play pause button a lot and that you rewind the video. One technique I can request, or maybe suggest, is that you pause the video at any time and then rewind it and fast forward it, or you can watch it fully once and see what the direction is for this drawing, and then watch it again as you're drawing the video or following along. Alright, so let's do the bottom part here. Close that off and then do a little thickness here. And we're going to shade in the right side here. It needs to be a continuous curve from the left side. And we're going to color in the thickness soon. The thickness will be just a nice black. So we're going to speed that up a little bit. Okay, color that in. Erase the lines we don't need in the middle there. And then color the thickness, as I just mentioned, a solid black all the way down. Really there, really fast. Now remember, you can pause this part and catch up. Okay, I'm going to contour the eyes. 8 different eyeballs. Actually 7. 7 eyeballs. I have to learn how to count again. I am not an accountant. Can you tell? I'm going to color the front fascia here. A nice dark gray. There we go. And once again, this is a curved shape, so as the light hits the top of this ball shape, the light tends to fall away, or the shape falls away from the light, and as the shape falls away from the light, it starts getting darker and darker. So this is what we're going to try to do with this gradient. So from this is a dark point down here, and at the top is a lighter point, so we need to make it dark to light from top to bottom. So top is light, and working our way down, we're making it darker and darker. And now I notice that the curve here is higher than on the side of my body here, so I'm going to add more gradient on the left side and right side to produce that curved effect throughout the whole character. Alright, color this in all the way across. It has to be a continuous curve. We have to have that illusion of a continuous curve here. And go lighter and lighter as we go up. We're going to darken this portion a little bit more. And then curve this part around, erase the lines inside there, and then retrace. And there are no problems with erasing. There's some people that tend to think that erasing is a bad thing. That's what I seem to get through Facebook chats. Don't have to worry about erasing. Erasing is an important part of drawing. Unless you want to be, like a pro and just a super pro and just draw continually. But that doesn't happen very much. There are not very many people out there that draw without erasing ever. I've been able to do it, of course, but the idea is that it's not as flexible as when you get the chance to erase. Alright, so this right arm is going to be treated like the left arm, and so I'm going to speed through it a little bit. And the shoulder is the same as well. Must look like a ball. Just like that. A bit more shaded in the top, and the reflection with the eraser. Alright. Then a little bit darker over here, as the top part will create a shadow on this portion here. This is a cylindrical portion, so it's sort of circular. A little bit darker down here. Layer upon layer of graphite. And then this front part will sort of look like a chrome or reflective surface. And then we'll do the joints down here for his, I guess, kneecaps. I don't know what those are. And then cylinders for the feet. So this character is very simple. He's got very, very basic shapes, and so that's what makes him simple to draw. But in the long run, every character should be simple enough to draw because everything is made of simple shapes. There's nothing in life that has very complex shapes. They're complex because they're basic shapes combined, but in this character, they're all basic shapes, circles and cylinders essentially. The next character will be a little bit more difficult, and as the basic shapes have morphed into more complex shapes and merged to other shapes. Alright, there we go. So we'll just color in a little bit more darkness here, adding more contrast. And we spoke about contrast during the surfer video, and contrast is very important here in this drawing as well. We don't want all shades of gray to look the same, and so it's important to press on your pencil at different levels, of course, at different times, to make very, very dark darks, and up to all the white, all the way up to white as my paper color here. So this character is called Reggie Steele. I guess that's how I'm calling him. That's how I read it. And his number was 379 on the Pokémon website. So now we're going to work on this character. A long neck with a head here, very small head, long neck that comes down and attaches to this little insertion point on his body, which is a V, and then he's got a shoulder here, and of course a left shoulder here like this. And then we've got his chest coming down here, and his belly curves back up, and we've got his back coming down like this. And then we need to add a thigh here with a knee. It's a little bit bigger. And then another thigh on this side, like this, and then another knee, and then this will go right into his foot. This sort of shape like this. And then his tail back here, dragon tail. So this is sort of a dragon, in a sense, right? If you pay attention to the shape, it's sort of like a dragon, long neck, long tail. Here's his forearm. His forearm sort of looks like a shield. And his arm back here between his shoulder and forearm. We're going to add another forearm on this side that also looks like a shield. Just like that. And then in a few seconds we'll be able to erase all the lines we don't need anymore. And he's got a little bit of a wing up here, which I think is a wing anyway. I may be wrong. I don't know Pokemon much. I'm not from that generation, I guess I know Pikachu and the one that squirts water, but I've never seen these guys before. I'm from the older generation of folks that used to watch Captain Harlock and what else? I did watch G.I. Joe and Transformers. I guess those were, I was a little bit older at that point, but the cartoons I used to watch as a kid were Japanese anime, like yeah, I think it was Captain Harlock and Grandizer was the other one. Big horns and shooting lasers from his from his horns and shooting his fists out. That was a really cool robot. But these guys, Pokemon, are too new for me. I've never really watched them. But I'm drawing them today for you as they are a special request. I'm moving along my requests. I only have about 10 left, which this has been a about 60 week, a bit more than 60 weeks of drawing these requests. I took requests up to about 63 or 65. I had 65 requests at the beginning when I began these videos, and now I've got maybe 10 or 9 left. And so once these 9 are completed, then I'll be able to open up the request box again, and then you guys will be able to send me requests through Facebook. And yeah, for those of you who are want to chat with me and share your pictures, I'm doing it only through Facebook. I do have a Twitter account. I do have a Google Plus account. I have my Facebook account, and I do have an email address. But the idea now is I'm trying to consolidate, get everybody on the same page, because it's just too complicated to go left and right and try to answer everybody. So come and meet me on Facebook. It's Drawing with Paolo on Facebook, and go ahead. You know what you can do is go draw your Pokemon. You can draw these two, or you can draw the Pokemon you like, and share them with me on my Facebook page. That's where I post everybody's pictures and drawings, and it's a lot of fun. We can share it. Makes a really cool community. And so here's your challenge of the day. Draw Pokemon and tell me your favorite ones. You can draw up to 2, or send me an email on my Drawing with Paolo page and tell me about your 2 favorite Pokemon. Well, a maximum of 2, okay? You can talk about 1 if you like, but not 10. I don't need 10 different Pokemon. But you can send me also drawings of those 2 favorite Pokemon, and I'll be glad to post them on my Drawing with Facebook page. Drawing with Paolo on my Facebook page. So alright, let's finish up these outlines here. The neck sort of jumps into the body part, and then it curves back up this way because he's got this big purple triangle with a thickness in it, like that. And then that thickness comes down to sort of create a collar around his neck here, which is also purple. I guess these are both robots, right? And that's what these Pokemon are in this case. And retrace the outline. It's like that. Now this triangle will be a nice dark color because it's supposed to be purple. And so there should be also a circle here inside that shoulder. And then these curved rectangles that come around. Like this. That. Curve that around, curve this around, and maybe one more right over here. And once they're done really lightly, then we can retrace them. And that's the best way in my mind anyway. It's my opinion that it is better to draw light first, very lightly, and then to press harder later on to do the outlines. Some people never draw outlines, did you know that? Some people just draw shades. And it's less cartoony, it looks more realistic. But I'm, from comic books, and comic books always had outlines. I did paint quite a bit, but I don't paint very much anymore. I don't have that much room at home to paint and to make a mess. I don't have the patience for painting anymore. Alright, we're going to color this stuff in real quickly. And then this will be dark around the edge too. So let's finish up his head. We're going to add a nice little gray shade here all the way down his back there, his spine. Erase the lines we don't need anymore and retrace this. There's a portion here that this is supposed to lock itself into like that. And there's a little bit of a thickness from the top. It goes all the way back and then comes back. And that's where his wings, or I guess are his wings, come out of. There's a nice little reflection here. This guy's probably made of metal, and so we need to give that illusion of metal. Color this shadow from his head and bring this all the way down. And another little darker piece here. And a little bit darker underneath his chin. And then I'm going to erase that zigzaggy line here at the top and bottom. Like metal shouldn't have zigzaggy sort of lines in them from the pencil marks. So let me color in this triangular portion here. Nice triangular reflection. And then with the eraser, I'm going to just erase straight lines so that we don't have so much of a zigzag. There we go. Now these guys seem like they're fighting, but that's not the point. I didn't really want them to look like they're fighting. They're just two different characters, but now the more that I pay attention to this, it looks like they're fighting, but that wasn't my goal. So okay, we're going to color all this stuff here in a nice dark layer, and we're going to start working on his left shoulder here. Color that in. And a nice circle inside that first one. Who knows, maybe they're not fighting. You know, I know they're not fighting. I didn't mean them that way, as I said, but maybe they're doing something else. Retrace the outlines here a little bit to these rectangles. You know, sometimes with a bit more assurance, you can just go really hard with the pencil right away, rather than doing those outlines. If you get used to it, you can do that. You know, now that I look at it, they sort of look like they're dancing. They sort of look like they're dancing together. It looks like they're dancing, don't you think? Look at the motions and all that. It looks like they could be probably disco dancing. Would that be funny? Disco dancing Pokemon? Take it away, disco dancers. Alright, enough of that. Enough of that. Disco dancing Pokemon. I bet you've not seen that on TV before. I guess there are Pokemon movies. I guess you've never seen that on a Pokemon movie before. Disco dancing Pokemon. But anyway, as you've been listening to nice music, I've been continuing this drawing. And just outlining these ribs on his forearms. Looks like there are webs between the ribs. And he's got little fingers coming out of this rectangular shape here. And he's got 4 fingers and 1 thumb. Just like that. They look like really sharp teeth. And then he's got a curve here. And then this goes down to his belly, but then goes right back up as a chest plate that have weld lines in it. And then this portion back here is nice and dark, like that. And I'm going to retrace the lines to his fingers here, make this look a little bit better. Alright, and then we're going to shade in this portion just like that. Underneath every rib it'll be dark. This sort of hand top will be dark. Can't forget this ring needs to be black too. And then this here sort of looks like the front of a car, right? So this sort of looks like a fog light or a lamp of some sort, a headlight. So you get some round reflections in there. And the same thing for this one. I'm going to leave 3 reflections in there. Make this a little bit longer, shadow. There we go. A little bit darker back here. Working on that contrast idea, right? And a little bit of a 3D look to this portion of that chest plate. There we go. And make it dark under here too. So it's important sometimes, step back from your drawing, take a look at it, and go back, left and right. Sometimes you can go back to shoulder, add some details on the shoulder, go back to the top of the head and add some detail there. It's as you're drawing along that you see where you need to add different detail. And the point isn't just to draw from top to bottom, which of course is how you sort of start the whole thing, but going back, adding detail, you can just dance around that drawing and adding detail pretty much anywhere, left and right, up on top and down below. Okay, so we're going to reproduce the left hand here to the right hand. So here are these ribs. These are like long lines that have webs in between them. Well, anyway, it's web shape, right? So we curve this line like that. That's what I mean by the web. And then there's another one down here. And a straight line that brings that up to there. And we're going to treat it just like we did the left one. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Just fill in these lines here really quickly. Look at that. Very simple. And erase the lines I don't need anymore and retrace those colors in there. Make them a little bit darker. Here, the top of his hand is black like the other one. Maybe push this a little bit darker. This, a little bit of a reflection there. And then his wings, which, like I said before, I think are wings. I'm not sure. what these things are. Erase that portion in there, and then we're going to color there's like a shadow that's reflecting off his wings here, so coloring his arm first. And I should finish his hand here. A few triangles for his fingers, look like really sharp teeth. One more, there we go. And then add some shading into his fingers here. Look at that, it's going along pretty well. These Pokemon are not bad. Not as complex as the boxing drawing of last week's video, which was a bit more complicated, but this one is pretty cool. We got two characters again in this drawing. He's got these ribs coming down his belly too, just like he has on his forearms. But these ribbed lines are black, so we're going to color those in. Well, they're not black; they're like a dark purple. So we're going to color those in soon. As I finish his sort of like he's wearing underwear. His whole body here is a dark shade of gray, so we're going to fill all that in. Remember to use the full power of YouTube and pause the video to catch up. You can rewind and rewatch this stuff. Here's that shadow or reflection I was talking to you about earlier, so we're going to color this in. Every wing section should have that. A little bit darker underneath each winglet here. Each, I don't know, feather, I don't know what this is. And add a little bit of shading over here too. This one as well. One on top. There, that looks pretty good. And we need to add his arm back here, and then nice and black, like his right one. Okay, so here's his left thigh that goes into his knee and curve in. Come back in like that, and then a little bit of a muscle there. And then underneath, finish that off. And then we're going to color these ribs in. Like I said, in between it's a little bit lighter gray. Just like this, to give that rounded feel with a little bit of a gradient. And the ribs are nice and black. And I'm leaving a little bit of a white sliver in there to show a little bit of a reflection. There's his right knee up like that, and then coming back down, and a little bit of a check onto his feet. And then we're going to color in his muscle here. It's a nice gradient once again, dark at the bottom, light on the top. Of course, his hand might be creating a little bit of a drop shadow or cast shadow, so we're going to do that. Color this side first. Color the front of the knee. The knee sort of is rounded, but it's also flat a little bit. You can look at your knee in a mirror and get the idea of what your knee looks like. I'm going to draw that here in this picture. So here's that cast shadow from his forearm onto his leg. Should be curved a little bit more maybe. Just like this. So you know, as I'm drawing, I'm changing things. So that's fine. You can change your plans anytime. That's the beauty of drawing. It's not like architecture where once it's drawn you got to do it and probably come up with ideas as you're building, but you know, you want to be very precise. Picture drawing like this is your invention. You know, you can have your character standing on one finger on his head, like, you know, standing upside down. He can hang on to, like, he can be so strong that he can hold his balance on one little pinky finger, and that could be plausible in drawing. You can never do that in real life, but that's what's great about drawing. So his tail back here, this will be really dark. Just like that. Nice dark line. Maybe add a little bit of thickness over here. Make that nice and dark. That makes more sense. And then make it dark underneath here. So a little gradient pattern here. Just like this. And that looks good. Clean up my lines a little bit from the toes and the feet. And the feet have cast shadow from his knee. Just like that. And then his nails have a little bit of a reflection. And it's like he's wearing a sole, right? It's like he's wearing shoes to a certain degree, so we need to draw this like a sole back here and color that all dark black. We're going to work on his left foot. So one of the last things we'll do in this drawing today. And we're going to draw his toes. And ooh, I sort of forgot one. So just draw it over here. Forgot a toe. We're at it on top. And here's the back one. There we go. Ah, okay. And come back up. Quick check like that because he's got another little bit of a nail coming back here. Erase, clean that up a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to draw those lines from his knee going down to his toes. Like he's wearing little boots. And we can't forget that sole back here, so a little bit line that should color in nice and black. Okay, we're going to give this section here a little bit of a 3D effect to it. That, a little bit of gradient to the bottom. A little bit more detail with the lines here. And then darken the shoe or whatever, his foot. This. Color in the sole back here, nice and black. Add some shading between the rib lines of his boots. I call them boots, I don't know, just playing around. And we're going to color in his nails. There! Last thing, my signature. And guys, thank you for watching Drawing with Paolo. I really hope you enjoyed this Pokemon video. And of course, the last one here. Palkia, he's number 484. Have a great day. See you next time.